The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, he saw it, concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Of course, that's all of Israel. He goes on to say, and it shall come to pass in the last days, that's the end of time for men, that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established in the high of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all the nations shall flow into it. Meaning at some point, we, Israel, will be at the top again, but only after the end. And many shall go and say, come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Elohim, of Jacob, or Israel, Yasharel. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his path. And out of Zion shall go forth the Torah, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. And he shall judge amongst the nations, and rebuke many people. And another word for rebuke, brothers and sisters, is chastisement. Turning people around. We like to say in our day and time, hollering at people. You know what I'm saying? Putting people in check. Okay? So when you see that word rebuke, that's what he's talking about. But he's not talking about rejecting in terms of pushing you away. He's just talking about, rejection in terms of forcing necessary changes within our, behavior, or better said, mindset. And he shall judge again the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords in the plowshares, and their spears in the pruning hooks. And you can find that in Joel chapter 3:10 as a last day message if you need a precept. And y'all know how we do it over here. I'm sorry, I said, Joel 3:10 will tell you the exact same thing. And the nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and neither shall they learn war anymore. So this will be in the new, Jerusalem, brothers and sisters. And the house of Jacob shall come, and let us walk in the light of Yahuwah. Therefore you have forsaken your people, O house of Jacob. Talking about Israel. We have forsaken one another, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistine. What is he saying here? Because we have so much, and there's so much available to us coming from the east. What is that talking about? Talking about from China, talking about coming from India, talking about things coming from Russia, from the so-called Middle East. It's just talking about exporting of goods. Okay, brothers and sisters, just so you know, something to compare and contrast here. He goes on to say, again, verse 6, therefore you have forsaken your people, O house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. In essence, he's simply stating is that we're more dependent, or we look outside of ourselves for help versus looking inside for what we can do for ourselves, rejecting the Most High, because there are soothsayers among us who teach us that true success is about getting a bag. True success is about being financially blessed, having, more than you can handle. Cars, and how many cars you have, how many houses, or what size house, or how nice is your house, what kind of apparel you're wearing, what kind of handbag she carried, and much, much more. But I just want, again, he's talking about not only are we looking to the east for exports and goods in these last days, and it's upsetting the Most High, but we also have soothsayers or teachers among us who are teaching us that our best self is our wealthy self with silver and gold, instead of teaching our best self is being obedient to Yah's Torah and to his word. I've read that already, but stay with me. Let's go on. It's going to be a lesson today. So therefore you have forsaken your people, O house of Jacob, because you have been replenished from the east, or they have been replenished from the east, and are soothsayers, which is another word for pastor, politician, people who have more or less a platform, like the Philistines. And they teach themselves of the children of strangers, to use the strangers to measure success, or what the strangers say success is. Their hand is also full of silver and gold, going for the bag, always going for the bag. Neither is there any end to the treasures. Their land is full of horses, but neither is there any end to their chariots. Their land is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands. I'm getting this based off of what I'm doing. It's the mindset that he's calling out right here, brothers and sisters. That which their own fingers have made, their businesses, again, their jobs, you know what I'm saying, their investment. We're going to call it all out today. Everything that they are doing and not teaching or focusing on the Torah and the word of Yahuwah. But let's continue, because all this, there's a consequence involved in here, a good one and a not so good one, and we got to talk about it all. But one more verse, and then we'll stop for a moment and greet one another. And a mean man, M-E-A-N, an angry man gets his gun, and the great man sits there and keeps his mouth shut. Therefore, forgive them not. This is the word of Isaiah to Israel in these last days. Greetings, brothers and sisters, Israel, Judah. It's your brother DFG. First, let me start by saying Shabbat Shalom to you, because it is the Shabbat. And I hope, you're in a place where you can receive the blessings of the Most High. When we honor his Shabbat, he remembers us throughout the week. So when we call upon him for the things that we could have need of or will have need of, then because we have kept his Torah, which tell you remember the Shabbat and keep it holy, that's one of the commandments, then he hears our prayers. So for all those who are, Shabbat deniers, it's okay, you can do that. But just remember, don't say you keep the commandments when you are blowing off his Shabbat. Don't, think that he hears your prayers when you're blowing off his Shabbat, because he would be disingenuous. He would be like a man who, under certain conditions, will tell a lie even though they may not be a liar. And our book says and teaches us clearly through Numbers 23 and 19, our Creator is not a liar. So when he says in Proverbs 28 and 9, and you should, again, have your hammer and saw, that he's not that means that if you don't keep his Torah, if you don't hear his Torah, means obedient to his Torah, he doesn't hear your prayers. And see, today's study, and that's why I said, you brothers, you really want to be here today. At least I believe you want to be here. That's what the Most High has placed on your brother's heart, your elder's heart. Because there's a fight that the men of Israel have, many men of Israel have, an internalized fight. And many of them, for lack of a better word, are getting their asses handed to them because of this eternalized fight. I'm not talking about the battle without. Many of us are winning, not many of us, but some of us are winning. Some of you are winning the external battle. But you're getting your bus handled to you with that mental battle. No peace, always tired, always angry. As he said here, the mean man who go gets his gun. Can't find it inside of you to listen to someone who possibly could have more wisdom than you. That is the denouncing or the putting down of the great men among us. In other words, looking at the great men of, this is many of the brothers in Israel. Not necessarily you, but we got to talk about this stuff. Rather than listen to a great man, they'll ignore that great man, and they go out here and do things that could cause serious problems to themselves and their families when had they listened to that great man, they could have avoided those snares. But this is a spirit of pride, and we're going to get to that. And I say this, and I bring this up because, again, and by the way, I'm reading out of the book of Isaiah chapter 2. And we got a little bit more reading to do here, but then we're gonna move on into, another book as we get closer to the end of today's, sharing. But I thought it important that we stop here and just kind of have what I would like to call a fireside chat, maybe a Shabbat chat, with my brothers. But at the same time, the daughters of Zion, you are invited to be with us, because what happens to your brothers, to us, the men of Israel, directly, it's going to affect you indirectly. Because whether we are liking each other or in agreement with each other or not, I can assure you, when our enemies look at you or me, male or female, before he sees our agenda, he sees our melanation. And that's enough right there, for the hatred to start building up in men in their hearts. Now, they won't call it hatred. They'll just call it uncomfortable. What do they want? Oh, boy, I hope they're not stealing. Hey, you go watch them. Go to the CCT camera and see what they're doing. That kind of foolishness. Profiling us. Police officers following us all through the inner cities. Y'all know the drill. You don't need me to beat all that. And what draws them beyond, more than your gender, is your DNA makeup. So let's acknowledge that. I think we all can agree that at the core of it all, it starts with the melanation. And then once we open our mouths, or our energy comes out of us, our presence, and they realize that we're not African, or we're not East Indian, or, some other melanated group, not Israel, okay? Their whole disposition becomes a disposition of bitterness, lack of tolerance, aggression, hostile, looking for an opportunity to bring upon the wrath of whatever little measly power their job or the situation leverage that they can leverage against us. And that's not a strange thing, because if you read over in the book of Psalms, David talked about that in Psalms 83. He said that, our enemies, the nations, they had come themselves together, and they taking a crafty counsel, against us, to keep us fighting amongst us, to keep us in a state of, fighting one another, confoundment, confusion. In that way, they can take advantage of or exploit that happens between us, so that they can destroy us. Now, you can read that for yourself. My job, as a messenger, a watchman, an elder, is to start these conversations and keep these conversations going. When you look at this channel, a lot of people will say, well, what kind of channel, if, the people would ask some of you this question, what kind of channel is that? And some of you may be tempted to say, well, he teaches the Bible. He talks about the Bible. And I would say, yeah, that's an answer, but that's not your best answer. That's not your best. There are many people out there supposedly or call themselves teaching, the Bible, talking about the Bible. That's not what this channel is. This channel is a prepping channel. A prepping channel. And you might ask, well, how? How? My job is to prepare my people, as the Most High has put in me, for the end of the world as we know it, so that we are prepared, prepped to enter into the new or renewed heaven and earth that's coming, so that you meet all of the qualifications to get in. This is a prepping channel. That's why you don't hear me, using all the Bible, term, all the Bible etiquette. You'll have people say, well, brother, why he's cursing? He's talking. I just told you that I'm not here for that. I'm not here to be your religious pastor. I'm here to be your righteous elder, your righteous brother. What do I mean by righteous? Or your brother that finally gives us a watchman, a leader, who actually gives a crap about you. Not because how much money you can send me. Not because, what kind of, gangster, soldier, warrior you are. Or how fine and beautiful you're weaving. Leave your sisters alone. No, I don't care about that at the end of the day. This channel is about prepping and getting us ready to make sure that this war that is coming doesn't take you and your family down with it. Now, we were talking on yesterday, I was sharing on yesterday, but talking last night, the Zoom call, we talked some things on the Wednesday night Tanakh studies. And truly, if you want to study the Bible, that's where you ought to be with us on Wednesday nights. Here, otherwise, again, this is a prepping channel. Very important, without question. And we can use the book, the word, to be prepared with. This is what Isaiah is telling the people. Why aren't you, Israel, Jacob, why aren't y'all talking about the word? Why aren't y'all talking about what's coming? Why aren't y'all preparing the people for what's coming? Why aren't y'all telling people what are the stumbling blocks or the snares that's keeping them from seeing and being all that Yah has intended for them to be? Why aren't you doing it? Why are you so busy over there talking about, things that does not matter, instead of talking about the things that matter the most? And what matters the most is where you're going to spend eternity. What matters the most is how you're going to prep and prepare your families and yourself. As he said here, for the end day, judgment or anger of the Most High, the Creator. And so when you look about, as we talked about I talked again about yesterday, I mentioned, what was going on with, the cell phones going down with AT&T. But at the time that I brought forth the message yesterday, you know what else? Know what I did not know in addition to that, brothers and sisters? I had no idea that computers were crashing all over, this earth. That, if you worked in the medical industry, you couldn't service the patients as far as, things that they would have need, wellness things. You wouldn't have been able to do it. I also, from a very strong, dedicated, highly regarded by me, I, spoke to a sister who met those qualifications, who happens to be in the industry. And I was told that there's a shortage of a lot of those things that our people are using for wellness. And I'm intentionally avoiding, pharmaceuticals. Okay? That's an intentional avoiding of that, not to bring the heathen gatekeepers' attention to what I'm talking about, because what I'm talking about is more important than pissing them off. I don't care about what they think. I only care about what's in the best interest of our people. And if there's a righteous stranger over there, then so be it. They're smart enough to listen in, and if they're obedient, all I can say to them, how are you? Welcome, but don't get in the way. But back to us. I was told that there's going to be a shortage, a real shortage, and that if our people who depend on that industry for wellness, they are going to be SOL a whole lot sooner than they know. And if they don't get off those things or kick those habits, and I'm not talking about people who own crack. I'm talking about that people who own, not talking about, the people who own meth and, fentanyl and stuff like that. I'm not talking about, the street addict. We're talking here the people who are in the office who are on certain things. We're talking about the people who are in industry who need certain things to function. Maybe they're having issues with their blood pressure. Maybe they're having issues with their heart. Maybe they're having issues with, their liver, kidneys. Maybe they're having issues with, their sugar levels in their bodies. We're talking about those individuals that the time is coming that they won't be able to get those things that regulates their bodies. And not in the distant future. And unless you be an elite, and I'm not talking about you got, let's see, if you got Marcus, well, y'all won't know who Marcus Smart is. I'm not talking about if you got Usher wealth, if he has any. I'm not talking about if you have Denzel Washington wealth. You're going to have Oprah wealth, Jordan wealth, Sean Carter wealth, if that is actual wealth they have, because our people love to shine. And then as soon as they say something, we realize their wealth is all situational wealth. In other words, they say the wrong thing, ask Kanye. Then all of a sudden, they just broke, you know what I'm saying? As a egg that's getting better to be fried on Sunday morning, breakfast. But except you're in a situation where you are considered the elite, ain't gonna be no medication like that. I mean, that's gonna be any stuff like that for you. And that's gonna be a big problem. And again, this is why I ask for the men to be here, but sisters, you too. Because truly, if you're in your strength as a man, there are people who are gonna be dependent upon you. Could be your mom, could be your woman, could be your children, could be your boy. But they're gonna be people dependent upon you. And the question that I'm presenting to you, my brothers, are they going to be able to rely on you? Or are they going to have to go find somebody else to do for them that you can't do? Now, I think, that's an honest way to say it. It's not to marginalize, it's not marginalizing you. And according to the book, it's telling us, when he says here, your bow, like a bow and arrow, it just means weapon. It's saying that your weapons ain't going to get it for you. I know a lot of our brothers think that, if I got to go to the streets, I got to go to the streets. Well, yeah, if there's something in the street worth going to get. But what if there's nothing in the street to eat? Because the people who got the things that you will need, especially if you hadn't already prepared for those things, because you didn't want to hear what the men who were put in position to tell you, like myself, you're not ready for anything, so now you got to deal with it as it is. Well, what happens if there's nothing out there? Because the people have the resources that you will need. If you didn't prepare means to preparation before the problem. If you didn't prepare, those people are going to be underground. They're going to be in their cave. They're going to be in their bunkers. You're not going to have access to them. So you're going to be trying to ravish, those who have nothing to be ravished of. And we're going to get to that in a moment to show you how bad it's going to be. So your bow, your weapon ain't gonna help you. Is what this is saying. Your mean mugging ain't gonna cut it. Everybody gonna be mean mugging. Because I can assure you, when they can't get that depressing stuff that they need for their depression, depression, when they can't get that stuff they need for their anxiety, I don't care how bad you are, brother, you ain't gonna be the baddest dude on the block no more. You'll still be bad. But you're gonna be bad dealing with monsters who really are looking at you as a resource, but not for, your treasures. They might find a particular pleasure in the fact that you look like you're meal worthy. Now, we've all seen all these movies of zombies and all this stuff that they've been art imitating life for years now. And if you watch any of them, The Walking Dead, and you sitting over there like, damn, boy, boy, I hope, you know it. You're already, even looking at it, you don't want to have no part in that mess. Right? So why not deal with that on a for real level, so to speak? Why not take it off of television and look at it from if I was in a situation like that, how would I navigate through it? And why I'm talking about that, we're going to get to it in a moment. But let me sidebar for a moment and talk to my brothers and possibly my sisters, but primarily my brothers, who feel that, well, y'all got me. All I will say to you is that when y'all start talking about judgment and what's going to happen, except you see something in there that says you are going to be spared. And for you to be spared, you would have to take this kind of feedback from your brother. And the one thing in taking feedback is you not talking back. You don't go word for word. Because that's arrogance, that's pride. And our book says pride comes before destruction. And your high-mindedness before your actual fall. So a bigger challenge is, rather than, repudiating what I'm saying, ask yourself the question, why aren't you willing to listen and take heed to what I'm saying versus talking about what's not going to happen to you? Because you believe that, as long as y'all know me and I have a relationship with y'all, I can do as I choose. Well, a lot of men fit that description. I'm going to bring up one or two for you, and I'm going to tell you it didn't work out too good. They were thinking like you were thinking too, by the way. Didn't work out too good for them. If you heard me read right here, talk about these men decided to do the way they were going to do it. And it did not say they were rebellious of Yah. It's just saying that they were, they were aware of the word, which is what you're hearing, but they decided to do it their way. And got angry at the great men. It's all it's talking about is leaders when it says great men, not better than you. It's talking about leaders. They didn't want to hear what the leaders have to say because the leader was not saying what they wanted to hear. And therein lied their downfall. And that is a real issue amongst the men of Israel. We know it, I know it, you know it. And that's something that we have to address, and we've got to figure out how to move that stumbling block out of our way. And the first step in removing a stumbling block, you got to recognize that it is a stumbling block. Avoiding talking about it, pushing it off, ignoring it, that's not going to work in a time of trouble. You can have the loudest voice in the room in an empty arena and nobody will applaud. Just saying. So it ain't about how bad we are, how bad you are. is, can you cooperate? Can you be a part of a nation? Can you be counted upon? Is your word, you know what I'm saying, your bond? In other words, can you be counted on for your word? Because those things are going to matter, not only here, but brothers, I'm going to say this to you, that matters before Yahuwah too. He's listening to everything that you're thinking. And just because you think that he's going to be with you don't mean he's going to be with you. So that's got to be brought out in the open. And I'll give you something to back that up, because too many times we get into this, how you know. I know because I'm probably doing what you might not be doing. And it's possible that even if we're doing the same thing, because I've lived a lot longer than you, I might know a little bit more about how this world works. Our book is constantly talking to you. Are you listening when it tells you elders, the elders, the elders? And it's not talking about because of the gray hair. It's an indicator, but it's not a qualifier. It's talking about those who have been around a long time. And they have studied Yah's word. They love Yah. They love you. Even if you don't love yourself. And they're willing to assist you in your journey, to ensure that your purpose is fulfilled if you allow them. You know how Israel is. I don't need nobody to help me. But then you just stated Yah's going to be there for you. Well, doesn't sound like you need somebody. And if you need him, then you need who he sends. It's like, I don't need no man, then Yah send men to help you. What you going to do? Tell them to go away? Well, if he sent them to help me, they need to listen to me. Where you read that at? Just asking. Because again, we got to bring this stuff out, brothers. Because this situation is coming. I talked about, y'all know your brother. Don't think that I've moved on from what I said about a lack of resources for people who are going to be dealing with wellness issues. I have not. As I stated in the beginning of this message, this is going to be, men talk. I said it yesterday. It's how men talk, believe it or not. We don't scream at each other. We don't threaten each other. We don't go get guns and start shooting just because we're angry. Well, we do, unfortunately. But that's emotionalism. Men can talk without feeling like they have to kill the other guy because they don't agree with him. Or they've been disrespected. Whatever that means. So the elders play a part, and Yah will use the elders through their wisdom, which Yah has given to them, to teach the young men and women, the daughters of Zion. But with all the things that are coming, a lack of, as we talked about a moment ago, of assistance for wellness, and I keep using that word, and y'all know what I'm really talking about. So that's not going to be available. Clothing is not going to be available. So all this money that's getting spent on Gucci bags and Louis and all of this stuff, buying Trump $400 tennis shoes, which I know we're not doing that dumb crap. But then again, that's an assumption, that I can't back up. We will spend that kind of money on tennis shoes and and still, what I'm saying, not own anything. But we're talking about lack of clothing, things that you need, coats and blankets, things, for survival. Not things to shine with, shiny things, not that. That ain't gonna do you no damn good when shit hits the fan. Then a lack of food, because we don't grow our food, and the food is not going to be coming from the east. That's what Isaiah was saying over here. All the stuff that we depend on coming from the east. Again, he said in the last days, those ships were going to stop coming to the west. And all the money, all the gold will get you how much? We're going to talk about that, but not just yet. So stick here, stay with me. Again, this channel, someone said yesterday, this channel is different. It is different. Because see, I'm not here trying to show you how brilliant I am. I'm not here to try to show you where, oh, look at the holiness of the holy roller. Look at all of us holy people. Yeah, right. If you've been following this channel for 5 minutes, you know I'm from the city of New Orleans. Grew up in the housing projects of New Orleans. I'm from the same place that Lil Wayne from, Master P from, Louis Armstrong, and Mahalia Jackson. Can you believe that connection? I grew up around Black Panthers, the real ones. I saw shootouts, real shootouts. I saw bodies under the window, and I hadn't even turned 11 years old. I've seen every crime known to man. I'm going to make it even a little bit personal. I was on drugs at 9 and 10 years old, sniffing lighter fluid. Because some little wicked teenager who stayed in the upstairs apartment was coming downstairs getting me and my little brothers hooked on drugs. Until y'all gave me the wisdom at 11 years old to convince my mom to move out of the housing projects to save us from becoming drug addicts, if you can believe that. And I don't even have to talk about other things from 12 on through. But I'm telling you, if you've been through it, more than likely, I went through it too. I got my battle scars. I have my stripes. So I'm not sitting here talking to my brothers or talking down to my brothers as one who don't understand the struggle. You would have to know your brother to know the struggle that I have earned the right to sit here before my brothers and before Yahuwah and tell you that the madness that's been going on now for almost 60, 70 years, it's not going to work in the next few months, years to come. It's just not going to work. Either we come together as brothers and sisters and stand, or we're going to die. It's as simple as that. In misery. Yeah, that too. And I don't back that up with word. So you don't have to, again, it's not about, fight or flight, scare me, oh, no. Because a lot of my brothers and sisters, a lot of you all watch prepper channels. You know about the Canadian prepper and this prepper, the last day prepper, all these people, and you always, listening to them. Most of them are heathen. They're not even Israel, and we're listening to them. So what's your problem with me? That we can't talk about self-love, then hate those who look like us. And all hatred ain't just what's come out your mouth. Hatred is about who you're respecting, who you're showing honor to. Our book said you give honor to who honor is due, and you don't get to choose who is worthy of honor. Yah chooses. Yah put the great men there. But he put them there for you, for us, on behalf of him, so you can actually see him beyond just what you read or heard in your church or religion or wherever you got your knowledge from. And we should never, see the stranger. And that's what Isaiah was saying here. We value what the stranger has to say more than we value what our own people have to say. Even the ones who actually love us. Unless they're doing some little slick, cunning stuff in the back for you. We ain't going to do nothing slick in the back. We ain't going to do nothing slick in the front. We're not going to do something slick above or nothing sick belief. We're going to do something real in your presence. And this channel is that doorway for which is going to happen, to prepare you for what is coming, so that we might be able to stand as a collective, not separate, but together. We're not Will Smith giving slaps with Mike Tyson knocking fools out. At least that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be together, not apart. But because of, treachery and arrogance and high-minded and bitterness and jealousy and envy, we're getting exploited every kind of way you can exploit a people. But I mean by taking advantage of. And it's about to get worse. So I talked about the famine of wellness supplies. I talked about the famine of clothing. I started talking about food, because we're getting that. We're not growing our own food. But it's also going to be clean water, which is absolutely necessary for survival. You can go months without food. Hell, you probably can go years naked, depending on what climate you're in. And if you stay healthy, you can probably live a lifetime without any wellness, meds. But see, when it comes down to clean water, 3 days. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. 3 days of darkness. Everybody talk about, well, brother, let's talk about the 3 days of darkness. You don't have water 3 days, you're going to be in the darkness. That enough for you? I just capsulized. I made it tight for you. You don't have water, you'll be in 3 days of darkness. Because the 4th day, you won't have to worry about water no more. You might be wishing you had water on day 4 and 5 because you'll be burning in hell if you're in rebellion, but drinking water ain't going to be your problem. Not after day 3. So water is essential. But the people that's not even thinking, the people that's not preparing, are people who don't want to hear this kind of talk because it's the Bible. They're talking about the Bible. Again, I'm going to say it to you one more time. I ain't talking about the Bible. I'm talking about Yahuwah's word. Then Isaiah said this. Let me go back to you. Look at chapter 2, verse 1. Look at this. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Israel. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established. And we're going to be back on the top again. If you go down a little bit further, for out of Zion shall come forth the Torah and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. And he shall judge the nations, and he shall rebuke many people. That's what we're talking about here. We're having a real conversation. It's real talk. This life or death talk, what we're talking about here. It's not religion talk. I don't care nothing about that. Never have, be honest with you. The only reason I was in religion, because I was trying to find the Creator. I was trying to find redemption. I was trying to find salvation, only to come to the realization that it was never there. It was idolatry. And he talked about this. I read it already. Go back and read chapter 2, Isaiah. Like many of my brothers and sisters still are today, in idolatry, in these religions, in these churches, looking for Zeus, so-called Jesus, so-called Ra, so-called Nah, so-called Yahushua, and whatever new name they're giving him. And they listen to all these platforms who are teaching this stuff, and these people are just practicing witchcraft on you. And that's one thing if they were doing it to us in ignorance, because we wouldn't have known. Me and my son, my oldest son, we were talking the other day, and we were talking about how Noah preached to the people for 120 years. Turning back to Yah is what he told them. Y'all need to come back. Y'all need to get out these streets. Y'all need to get out these clubs. Y'all need to put some damn clothes on, and y'all need to get some act right in you before it's too late for you. They didn't listen for 120 years. Yet the book say that history is going to repeat itself. Nothing new under the sun. And so here we are again. And the question came up, well, will it be another 120 years? I said, no, it's not necessary. They can put 120 years in a little thing called a cell phone. They can put 500 years in a little thing called a cell phone, in a little format that's created called Google. So we get now 120 years in a flash of a second. Now we can get it at the click of a button. But as they were in Noah's day rejecting it, they're doing the same thing now. They don't want to hear this. And as it was in Noah's day, when judgments and things started to go awry, started to get bad, they had a change of heart. So all the pride, all the arrogance, all the I don't need no man, I just need a bag, I don't need no woman, I don't need no brother telling me nothing, I'm a man, I don't need nobody. All that shit went out the door, brothers and sisters. They wasn't saying that then. Go back and we studied it Wednesday night. If you don't know about it, then you missed it. I'm talking if you don't know the story. I ain't talking about the one that's in Genesis chapter 6. I'm talking one that's explained and broken down in Jasher chapter 8. I mean, broke down to the small parts. And if you don't know nothing about that, you might want to figure out how to get hold to, that book and read upon it. It doesn't destroy nothing in Genesis. It just kind of, Genesis is the trailer. Jasher is the movie for which that trailer is talking about. And while I'm thinking about it, if you saw yesterday's message, if you go down in the description box, I did put the trailer of Leave the World Behind in there. It's only the trailer. But at least if you haven't seen it, some people say, well, I don't have Netflix, and if you don't waste your money on it, it's not a bad idea. But I need to putting out money on things that are more important right now. But you can click on that and see the trailer. And you get an idea of what I was talking about. Internet going down. Electric cars, taking control. People behind the wheel can't control the cars. The internet going down. Cell phone towers going down. Ocean liners going off course. With weird names like White Lion. Now this is in the movie, White Lion. And somebody said, well, why is that a weird name to you, Brother DFG? Because the White Lion was the first slave ship that came to America. To Virginia, to be exact. Other ships came. But that ship was called a White Lion. A slave ship is the same thing as a cargo ship. In the movie, a cargo ship named White Lion, if you can believe that, came to the beaches of Virginia. Just like the slave ships did. There's an exit in the movie called Crown Point. Crown Point was the city or the town where the slaves went to. There's a radio in the man's car. He can't get any signal, but the only signal somehow he gets is 1619. 1619. That's the only radio station. And he can't, it's no communication, but it's a signal there. 1619 is when the first slave came to America. There's an issue with radiation poisoning. Child gets bit, a young man gets bit by a tick. And it seems harmless. But then there's a big destroyed noise in the sky. People don't know, what is this noise? It hurts the ears. Then all of a sudden animals start acting weird. Start going berserk. Just doing things out of their nature. As you see now, you've seen animals in places you've never seen animals before. As it is right now. This is in the movie. Again, internet goes down, so nobody can communicate. And then you got an inside guy, DC, black guy in the movies, talking about, well, I heard people talking about this stuff, and there were some good friends of mine in high places were talking about this stuff, but I thought they were just kind of, I didn't know, I didn't really think they were serious. Thought they were just talking. And then one day I was on the phone with him, or the other day I was on the phone with him. He told me, you're a smart guy and good luck, and hung up the phone. See, that's where we are. This is in the movie. And that little tick bite, next thing you know, the young man can pull his teeth out using his fingers. People on the road looking for somebody to help them, but nobody would help them. To get, a little, I'm going to use the word penicillin here, to get something about this size, and I kid you not, about that, well, not even, maybe I'll say about the size of this bottle, that was thousands of dollars. And they wanted it in cash. And there was only one person that they knew that they could get it from. But then you just not hear me talk earlier, or did I say earlier there's going to be a shortage of wellness supplies? And if I haven't said enough, then they talk about, a civil war going on in the inner cities. Is that not happening right now with the migrant crisis? All the major cities, Los Angeles, New York, Boston, New Orleans, Dallas, Houston, Chicago. Is that not already happening? Aren't the tensions escalating? No, an American might not necessarily fight an American for resources, but I can assure you they will fight foreigners for it. And now you have an influx of immigrants by the millions over the last several years who are here. And they all need resources. The same resources we've always needed, at least the poor here. Now what do you think is going to take? What do you think is going to happen? What needs to happen to tip the scale? The tension is already there. The playing field is already set. So what do you think is needed for the tipping point, brothers and sisters? What about if all the power grids went down? Could that be the tipping point? Now instead of dealing with your brother or your best friend or just somebody of you, of your ethnic group, now you're dealing with strangers who you don't know and who don't know you. Strangers who are coming from third world who understand how to fight in the street, how to survive on the street, how to eat rats and dogs and whatever they got to eat to survive. Things you wouldn't dare think about eating. And don't have mercy because they don't even know what that is. They were trained and raised up around mayhem, death, blood, violence. They don't scream when they see something. They don't get, like some of our daughters, they see blood. Our daughters get, they get squirmish. They don't get squirmish at blood. Matter of fact, they don't have no problem drawing blood. And I'm not talking about with no IV. I'm talking about with the sword, the bow, the weapon. And no, they don't know you and they don't care about you like that. In peacetime, they'll get along with you. Peacetime immigrants are some of the most sweet and inviting and cooperative people you ever want to see. But remember, when you go into, to the in-laws, you got to put your best behavior on. But that's not you all necessarily. That's not you. That's you putting your best behavior. You're putting your best face on, so to speak. That's what they're doing. So they're gonna come in polite and harmless and just looking for help and just want. And again, I'm not hating on the immigrants. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, the stage is set. The movie is imitating life. That's how it's gonna go down. And they're telling you, take them in your houses voluntarily. Take them in your houses. But they haven't vetted these people. They haven't done background checks on these people. Hell, most of them don't even know who these people's real names are. And they're giving them license and different things because they want them for other means, or at least making them think that, pissing us off by doing that. So it's creating that animosity. But you don't know who you let in your house. Now, of course, if you wise, you Israel, I know now that part I'll give our people credit for. I know good and so well you ain't invite no damn immigrants to come live in your house. I know you ain't that, you know. I wanted to say, I know you ain't that. I know you smarter than that. How about that? That's the best I could do. Trust me, because I had something else I wanted to say. But I know you're smarter than that. But we've had enough in-laws and friends and family come in and take advantage of us that most of us, we don't even do that anyway. You know, like, yeah, no, I hope y'all throw y'all some few dollars here, but no, you ain't moving in. Been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? That's most of us. So I think we pretty much get that part. But all these things are coming together in that movie, brothers and sisters. And you see towards the end that the inner cities are on fire. And I ain't just talking about from the sky, because you see some of that, but I'm talking about pop, 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 that kind of stuff. I'm talking about gunfire. You got children? You got parents? You got needs yourself? Health needs yourself? Are you ready for that? See, my job is to get you ready for that, believe it or not. By bringing forth the awareness, brothers. To having this conversation. See, we have this illusion of war that television has promoted. You know, where they go to these big old, like Gettysburg, these big old giant open fields, and they shooting each other in the field. You go to these movies, World War II, and they fighting out in the woods and fighting out in the countryside, the hills. These Indian wars, Napoleonic wars, where they, you know, Game of Thrones, you know, where they, you know, or you know what I'm saying, or the Last Kingdom, where, you know, you got this army over there in the field, but they're not fighting in the city, they're just fighting in the field. Brothers and sisters, that's make-believe. That's a carnival. That ain't nothing but a traveling circus show. War is fought in the homes. War is fought up and down streets. War is fought inside of buildings. And you can figure it out with just a little bit of research. Go look and see. The bombings that were taking place in places like Britain in World War II, France, Germany, Russia, China. You can even come back to the Civil War that was fought here, the last one. That was a door-to-door war. Ask somebody what happened to Atlanta when General Sherman went through, as he was going through the Carolinas, going down through, you know, Georgia. Fighting against the Confederate armies. What happened to all those cities and towns? You know, that's a movie, and it's not the best movie in the world, you know, because it kind of glorifies, you know, heathens. But it's called Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind. Watch Gone with the Wind. If you can get by the Scarlett O'Hara parts of it and all of that, but look at it, there's a big part of it is about the actual battle that was going on in the city of Atlanta. The carnage, the suffering, the misery, the pain, the death. It was happening in the cities. War is fought in the cities is what I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters. Not out in the countryside while you put your binoculars on and just look out there. Oh, look like we winning. That's television. That's to tell you a vision. My job is not to tell you a vision. My job is to wake you up. And the only way for us to wake up is that we have to be able to ascertain what's coming so we can refrain from the severe consequences that we're going to be dealing with for a lack of knowledge. But the Most High loved us so much, he hid it all in this book. He didn't hide it. He wrote it in the book. The heathens hid it from us, telling us, oh, you don't want to read those things. Torah is done away with. Just close it up, put it on the shelf. But in these last days, y'all said, nah, I'm going to get me some inner city boys. I'm going to go out here and get me some watchmen from the streets. Go out and get some real men, real soldiers. Then I'm going to teach them how to teach. And here we are. Daughters too, not to take away from our daughters. There's some warrior sisters out there. I can name a few. Sister Maria, they got guts. They got that fire in them. Sister Davis, Sister Sharon Coke, Sister Billups, Sister Eva. See, I always get in trouble when I go down that road because I end up, missing someone who is very, very instrumental to this struggle and to this fight. But that's just to name, a few. Then you got some men folk over here too that not to be messed with. And we're not playing. Most of our men are kidding, messing around. I get it. We know it. But then there's some of us, we're not playing. We understand the word Glock, 40 caliber, AR, M16. And some other words too, machete, things of that. We understand those things. Those words are not strange words to us. And I'm not talking about theoretically. I'm talking about practicality. But the fight is coming. The question is where you want to be when the poop hits the fan. SHTF. Where you want to be. I already know here. I can hear it in the back of my head. Y'all got me. Y'all got me. Okay. Well, that's not what this said. He said the battle going to be at your front door. And you're not going to, what is Gil Scott Heron? If y'all remember Gil Scott Heron, he's a 70s guy, very, pro-movement guy. He had he said he had to send, he said, the revolution will not be televised. And I'm saying the same thing. You think you're going to be able to deal with it from your living room window. No, you're not. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is going to be real. And either you're going to be a part of it or you're going to be a victim of it. No two ways about it. Somebody needs to say this. So I'm going to say it to you. Before it's too late. You find out, when the water starts rising as they were doing in Noah's day. Noah, they tried to kick, they tried to kick that door in? They tried to kick the ark door in. Tried to kick it in. Yahuwah had to use wild beasts to run their asses off. They were trying to kick it in. They were going to bum rush it. I'm going to kick in the doors. And many of them, they thought, their Christianity deathbed confession was going to get them in. I repent. I'm going to repent because I see the water rising and I know I could drown and I know this is serious and I know my life is about to end. I repent. Noah said, Noah told them by the voice of Yah in him. And don't tell me it wasn't Yah, because Noah said, I preached 120. He said, Yahuwah preached 120 years to y'all and y'all would not listen. Now, do you think Yahuwah came down here or went down there and preached to them for 120 years? No. He put the word in Noah's mouth. Noah was his voice. As many of us, including myself, is his voice today. And he told him, he said, for 120 years y'all were warned. So now Yah is saying, I don't want to hear it. Keep your confession. Keep your repentance. Because where you're going, it ain't going to do you no good. And that's the same thing going to happen again real soon. Because when the word was coming, brothers just didn't want to hear it. They thought it emasculated them to be around men. Yet the book says iron sharpens iron as a brother sharpens his brother. So really the book tells us that you want to be around other men. Don't say nothing about you want to be doing your own thing out there. Look it up. Iron sharpens iron as a brother sharpens his friend. So we're supposed to be, rubbing elbow. We're supposed to be, locking arms. You follow me? That's not no damn cultic sign. So let me be careful because y'all know some of y'all, folk, you getting all things all. I'm just talking about we're supposed to be, we're supposed to be soldiers in arms here. We're supposed to be learning about each other, learning strengths, talents. But instead, if it's not folly, we don't want to hear nothing. If it ain't laughing and joking and getting drunk and drinking and chasing a horse, we don't want to have nothing to do with anything. But if that's what you live for, brothers, you're going to get some. I don't know if you're going to want them, but you're going to get some. Because look, let me drop down here a little bit farther to help my brothers here. Again. Oh, the last thing that I'll say about Leave the World Behind, that was produced by the Obamas. I wonder if they put that movie out, the Obamas, because they were trying to fulfill Ezekiel 3:17 by saying, warn the people. Because see, they know they didn't do much for us in office. And unless Obama is a damn fool, and he isn't that. Wicked? Yeah. Damn fool? No. Man, he's intelligent. And so is Michelle Michelle. You figure that one out. But I think that they were kind of using Isaiah, go read it, 3:17, to do their last little service to Israel. By warning us through that movie is what I'm saying. And if you read Ezekiel 3:17, read down to verse 25. So I think that they were warning us for real. The only way they knew, because they knew we weren't going to listen to them anymore because they had 8 years and they talked about absolutely nothing but foolishness and abomination. So they know that we don't want to hear them anymore. So they figure, I guess maybe we can go through this way because they do like to be entertained. And put it that way. And then dust their feet, dust their hands, take off their sandals and say, okay, maybe Yah will show me mercy now. I doubt it, but I'm not Yah. But they did leave something behind. Wow, that's kind of intended to say. They did leave something behind. They did leave the movie, Leave the World Behind. So they did leave something behind. Excuse the pun. And again, the trailer's in the message from yesterday, the little 17-minute message. If you go back to that message, go down to the description, hit that little link, you'll see the little trailer on it, okay? For those who don't want to, invest the money or don't have the resources, to invest into, buying Netflix to see the movie. I don't know what else it's showing, but now there may be other ways you can see it, but it's worthy of seeing. I mean, you ain't going to learn any more than I'm sharing, but yes, that thing is full of hitting messages. Bucks. And y'all know the word buck was the way they described us. The buck was a threat to the white woman. That's the lie they told on us. The buck hated the black woman. That's another lie they told on us. And all you'll see that the bucks in the movie being aggressive towards women. Just saying. All right. But I'm going to go back to Isaiah 2. Let's go a little bit farther. I stopped at verse 9. Hallelujah. Let me get myself together here. Verse 10, he said, and this is the Most High saying, enter into the rock and hide in the dust for the fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty. And that's what they're doing now. When they're going into these bunkers, they're hiding, brothers and sisters. Talking about, the heathens. I know the just in Israel, we're going down there because we're trying to be safe, but The bunkers are not going to help us. I'm saying to you, don't put your money there. Supplies, goods, yeah. Wellness needs, yeah. Bowls, yeah. But ain't no sense to dig no hole in no ground and go down there. If something goes wrong, the cooling system, a heating system, which that can happen to a house above ground, a brand new one, I might add. If it happens down there, you're going to get buried alive down there. You don't need to go down there. Now, at the end of the day, it's your resources. You can use them however you choose to use them. But the book don't tell us to go underground. It tells us the heathens are going to go underground. Verse 11, it says, the high-minded looks of man shall be humbled. That's what I was talking about earlier. Nobody can tell, some of us anything. And again, that's not an attack on you if that's you. I'm just saying to you, brother, how about just being cooperative? If you love your Geno Jennings and you love your Charles Dowell and your Jakes or whomever it is, all right, your Bishop Nathaniel, you go, okay, whatever. But I ain't talking about that. Go over there if you want to hear and see a little shit show about Jesus, go ahead. But if you want to be prepping and prepared and lining yourself up, with truth, then you need to be over here. That's what I'm saying. Or at least here too, if that helps you. But we don't have time to waste, so I wouldn't be between two opinions. I wouldn't be over there and over here. I'm going to pick a side and I'm staying there. I wouldn't be a vagabond popping around. Go over here, or a little bit over here, I'm going to do a little bit over there. Then that means you're not loyal to anybody, therefore no one's going to be loyal to you. To build loyalty, you have to build trust. To build trust, you have to be dependable. You have to be stable. You have to say what you mean and mean what you say. And you got to be able to get yourself out of the way. I'm talking about your feelings, your emotions, your hurt, your pride. This is what it's talking about here. Haughtiness, high-mindedness. That's the debt of many men, women too. Give me here, brothers and sisters. I don't like eating or drinking, but I gotta get a little water in. All right, excuse that. Let us continue on. He says the high-minded looks. We know that, the stink eye. The high-minded looks shall be the high-minded looks of a man shall be humbled. I think y'all know what that word humble means. You're gonna snatch that arrogance right out of them. And he's going to snatch it out of them, not by changing their mind. He's going to put us in situations so horrific, you ain't going to have nothing to boast about. There ain't going to be nothing around you to be bragging about. If Yah gave you, what's the disease that caused you to have diarrhea? There's a name of diphtheria. I can't think of the name of it. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Dexteria, something like that along that line. But it means that everything you eat goes right out of your body. And for the most part, you're in a constant state of needing diaper on you. I can assure you, you won't be arrogant in pride if that's happening to your body. When everywhere you go, people can smell your stench. And you can do nothing about it. So Yah has a way. And if you think he won't do that, there was a wicked king, brothers and sisters. He was going around, he was ill. That devil had 375 little children killed so he can get their blood, because they knew that the healing was in Israel's blood, that because we have healing components in our blood. We all know that. That's why they always set the blood banks up in our communities, because they know that there's things inside of us that could heal into anything. Henrietta Lacks is a clear example of that, but there are many, many other examples. They knew about it way back thousands of years ago, the value of our blood. Our DNA, if you want to call it that, RNA. We just finding out about it. mRNA, I'm sorry. They always knew. That's why they were telling you eat Jesus' body and drink Jesus' blood. That's foolishness. They knew all people knew about that kind of stuff. Otherwise, why would they be saying that nobody would be appalled? What an appalling statement. This is the blood of my body. Drink this and remember me. This is the flesh of my flesh. Eat this and think of me. Who comes up with something like that as a metaphor? And who receives that without an understanding of what that actually means, whether it's metaphoric or not? Occultic people in the occult. The whole thing, like I said, that whole New Testament is just a big, giant, occultic, spell-casting book. Books. Collection of books. But if you want to be over there, be over there. But with all the churches and all the teachings of that, it seems to me you ought to be able to look around at our people and how people running there by the thousands, if not the tens of thousands, go to their conventions by the hundreds of thousands, and come right out there and go right back into some of the worst living conditions known to mankind. So how is Jesus working out for them? What is that even about? But they're going to put their soothsayers, their overseers, their pastors, and whomever else, their platform creators, to keep your senses dulled. Isaiah 43 makes it crystal clear who your Savior is, who your Redeemer is. And yet these people go out of their way to try and find other scriptures to tell you that Isaiah is a liar. Better said that Yahuwah is a liar, that he's not your Savior, and he's not your Redeemer. Although you can show it to him written right here in the book. Now you make that make sense. And what they do, they send out their little rabble-rousers. And many of them, they got sweet voices, heads covered. You don't see some of their faces. And they all talk, it's the Savior. If you don't have I was listening to, what's his name? Truth Unedited. I just had to cut that devil off. I'm like, man. And I know that brother knows the truth. But he will not tell the truth, because if he told that truth, he's going to lose hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I know that's money for him. And you can't convince a man the truth when that truth will cause that man to have to lose something that he loves. And that's what y'all dealing with. That's what we're dealing with a lot of these people. I mean, they're hearing this truth just like you heard the truth. Like we heard the truth. I heard the truth. Why aren't they responding to it? Because it's not financially rewarding for them to if they responded to this. They'd have to go back and change their whole platform. And they're not going to do it because there's money in Jesus. Lots and lots of money in Jesus, I might add. Or Yahushua. Ain't much in Yahuwah. I can attest to that. But there's something more rewarding than they ever going to know about in Yahuwah. That's everlasting life and blessings beyond one's understanding. So they can keep their little, Anyway, I digress. Let me get back. But I'm just saying. High-minded, haunting. There's old. What's that? How do they say? It ain't about where you started, it's where you finish. So I started there too. You can go back and look at old videos. I'm over there, Christian. You don't need to help nobody. I was all in all of that. I thought, what I'm saying? Well, you know what? They're devils and they're lying. And I was angry. I was bitter at them, not because of helping people. I've always, nobody was out giving me when I was a Christian. Well, they had more money, but I was writing checks blindly. And giving it to the church or wherever, and I didn't have to be a member of that church, so I was a giver. My bitterness is not against giving. My bitterness is against people taking advantage of people who are givers. That's where my bitterness. You'll see me back there. So if you listen to one of them, well, wasn't you talking against that? I was talking about heathens and their plots and their cunning tricks. I wasn't talking about, you losing your own blessings because you're not following the directions of the Torah, which clearly tells us to give. So that's not what I was talking about, brothers and sisters. But This crap that's going on right now, that's wicked. And they will never tell you the truth because it's money in it for them to keep telling lies. The more lies to tell them, the bigger their platforms get. And they're repeating the same heathen lies, but they're telling you they're not the heathens. Teach out the same cryptic books they teach out, but they're not heathens. And I'm talking about the New Testament. I'm talking about the gossip, so-called gospels, that don't even line up with themselves. And with a little research, you can find out P.So Fam and other people wrote those books, and there is validation where they came from. No speculation at all. It's 100% they can validate who wrote them books. Just like they can validate who wrote the Constitution of the United States. That can be validated. We've all seen those documents, right? You know, everybody know about where they at. And I'm not off subject. You might think I am, but I'm not. I'm going somewhere here, so stick around. Everybody know about these fellas. Nobody's going to say these fellas didn't write the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States. But when we start to tell you fellas that look just like that wrote the New Testament, fellas look just like that wrote the Gospels, then all of a sudden, you know, how y'all know that? That ain't true. Yeah, that's what you heard. Okay, well, you're going to believe the heathens, but you're not going to believe your brethren, who are telling you right from this book that Yah does not change. That the Torah is forever. When we go to the new heaven, the renewed heaven, we're going to still be keeping the Torah. But they told us it's done away with. And many of our brothers and sisters embraced it. Or haven't even considered it. They're just going to stay over there. And that's why I say it's a book of the occult. Well, let me read a little bit further on. Then we're going to go one more place, and you know, y'all willing. I hope I would have communicated what he wanted me to communicate to my brothers here and to my sisters who are listening in. Real talk for real people. Again, we just got past the high-minded looks, arrogant men. High-minded men who think that just because they can hurt you or harm you or kill something, that makes them, you know, something special. Because that's what 11 is saying. Look, it said, the high-minded looks of men shall be humbled, and the haughtiness, arrogance of men shall be bowed down, and Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. Just him. What day? That last day, the final day, the day of judgment. The day that Daniel chapter 12 verse 2 talks about. Where we get our final reward, so to speak. Some everlasting life, some everlasting shame and contempt. Verse 12. For the day of Yahuwah shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up. Again, that's pride. And he shall be brought low. He said he's going to take away that pride, all that arrogance, all that confidence. Can't nobody tell me nothing. I don't have to listen to you. What makes you better than me? All of that. They ain't going to be talking that talk on the day of judgment. Because by then, all that pride is going to be gone. They're going to have seen enough and have had enough done to them. That pride ain't going to be the first thing that comes to their mind. Shame, yeah. I'm ashamed of myself. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe that I let that happen to me. Ashamed. Is that not what Daniel 12 and 2 says? Some of the everlasting shame and contempt. Shame and contempt. Angry because they let themselves be shamed. Because pride and haughtiness and high-mindedness got in the way of judgment. I'm talking to you, my brothers. Doesn't have to be you. That's what I'm saying to you, my brothers. Sisters, yeah, you too. Let's skip down to verse 14. Upon all high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall. This is for all these people who think that you can just barricade yourself in and you're good. Upon all the ships of tortoise. This is all these idiots who think cruise ship going to take them to South Africa in the wilderness. That group. He said, upon all the pleasant pictures. All these thinking, well, I know y'all know me, I know I'm going to be right. That's the picture you paint for yourself. That's not reality. And the loftiness of man shall be brought down. The hauntedness of men shall be made low. And Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. So he's telling us none of those things are going to save us. So you can build your fort. You can put your bars up on your windows and your doors. Ain't keeping nobody out. More likely it's going to keep you in if you need to get out. That house catch on fire, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to find keys and drills and everything else to open up doors and windows that you could have just turned the knob and walked out. But you thought you were being stuck. And I'm not criticizing you. You just don't understand that that's not going to be the key to the problems that's coming. You might well take all that stuff down. Go see if you can sell that iron and get some money. Share a little bit over here with your brother. Hallelujah. So I can keep doing what I'm doing. The word is the word. Whether we like it or not, it's still the truth. Verse 18. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. Idols. 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 Our people have no understanding how Yah feels about us, with idols. Men idols, women idols, things, shiny things. And homes and cars are idols. Just so you know. They're part of that description. They fall in that category. And we know they're idols because a lot of people, are allowing those things to determine what they do. I don't want to lose all this stuff. Why does stuff matter to you that much? Because I don't want to lose all that stuff. That's why. Why does stuff matters to you so much? Because I don't want to lose the stuff. Why does stuff matter to you so much? Except you're idolizing it. It's become an idol unto you and you don't even know it. A snare, a trap. And until you're willing to release those things, you'll never see the strength of Yahuwah. If you go read over in 1 Kings chapter 19, when Isaiah was running from Jezebel, and he was out in the cave, and they said, he said there was a strong wind that came, and then there was a strong rain that came, and a loud, or the earth shook, I think is what it was. The earthquake came. And said Yah wasn't in the wind. He wasn't in the rain. He wasn't in the earth shaking. So Yah was in that little small, quiet voice. See, all those things around us that we think are important, those things are only blocking Yah's voice. They're getting in the way. They're distractions. To hear Yah, you have to be willing to part with everything. Then you'll hear that small, quiet voice. And then that voice will give you direction. It'll answer your questions. Like he did with Isaiah. Isaiah, what are you doing? I'm the only one left and everybody, is dead and Jezebel wants to kill me. I did what you told me to do and I can't understand why this is happening to me. Y'all said, first of all, stop. They got 7,000 men, first of all, who have not bowed the knee to no Baal, no idolatry, no Jezebel. And in addition to that, I need you. I don't need you hiding out, bugging out in your cave. You got work to do. You got 2 kings that needs to be anointed, and you got your predecessor. Your predecessor. You need to be out there teaching and training. Now here, take this food, get yourself strong, and get back out there and follow my direction. And if he doesn't change, he's saying the same thing to us. Running off and hiding is not the answer. Standing up and being prepared for the battle to come, that's necessary. That's a big part of the solution. And I hope you're hearing me, my brothers. Now, a lot of you talking about you didn't have fathers, you didn't have men in your life. Okay, you listening to a father, you listening to a man. Now show that you meant what you said. If you had one, or somebody showed they gave a shit, that you would give a shit. Okay, I'm showing you I do now. Are you going to reciprocate this back? I like to think you will. Your behavior will determine if you don't or won't. And that's on you, not on me. I'm doing my part. If you're a man and iron sharpens iron, well, this is iron, you iron, then let's sharpen each other. I do what Yah called me to do. Now you do what Yah is calling you to do. Verse 19. He said, they shall go into the rock, to the holes in the rocks, bunkers, and into the caves of the earth. Again, bunkers. For fear of Yahuwah. That's why they down there. They know something is coming. We above. Oh man, I ain't worrying about that. Y'all just trying to scare people. Why should we believe you? Well, I don't know. Maybe you'll believe Yah then. If you don't want to believe me, you don't want to believe the others who are out here sharing this with them. They don't want to believe us, brothers and sisters. Well, maybe they'll believe the heathens. Because the heathens believe Yah. They're afraid of Yah. That's why they're going in the cave. That's why they're going in the holes. Even some of the 2/3 heathens. Rick Ross and that group. Oprah, that group. Heathens. And they going down there because they know what's coming on this earth. And they know who's bringing it. They have to know, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. Well, Russia wouldn't bomb America wouldn't bomb because that would be suicide. Well, somebody going in the hole for some reason and they're bringing food enough to live for years down there. So you might want to rethink your Mr. Street Corner philosopher. You might want to reconsider this. They're going down there for some reason, and it ain't because what they don't think the other one going to do to the other one. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going anywhere, just like your behind isn't going anywhere. But because of arrogance and high-mindedness, and no one can say nothing to many of the men, I'm going to tell you, all right, are you looking and seeing? Are you watching what they're doing over there? If you see clouds in the sky, dark clouds in the sky, you ought to be smart enough to realize something in your brain should click and say, man, I think it's about to rain. When you see all that stuff they're doing, that should tell you, oh man, something is coming. And just like you be smart enough to get out the rain if you didn't want to get wet, you better be smart enough to get into safety if you don't want to be destroyed. And your safety comes in obedience and in numbers. Not you out there by yourself doing your own thing. Like a scavenger. Come on, brothers. Just here to help. But he said they're going to run down in them holes. Verse 19. Verse 20. Because 19 is because the earth is going to shake. What's going to shake the earth? Missiles, bombs, tsunamis. The whole earth going to shake, just like it was in Noah's day. Now remember, this is Elijah talking about the last days. I read that to you already. This shall happen in the last days. That's chapter 2, verse 2. History is about to repeat itself. Verse 20, in that day man shall cast his idols of silver and gold. See, this is all these people who think that money is the answer to their problems. That money, is the key. With money I could do anything. And this thing saying right here, no, you can't. It says, in that day man will throw away his money, which they made each one for himself to worship. He said they're going to throw it to the moles and to the bats. You know what a mole is? That's like a little rodent in the ground. In other words, he said they're going to realize all that chasing money, all that chasing was nothing. It's going to do them absolutely no good. Now, if that's you, it's time for you to think about this. And you can turn and look away, it ain't going to change nothing. You can ignore it, still ain't going to change nothing. You can confront it, deal with it, address it, and figure out how to better purpose yourself. And that will mean something. And we purpose ourselves by Yah's laws, statutes, and commandments. Be clear. Look at 21. He said they go to the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, to the pyramids, into all of that. And for the fear of Yahuwah. They're running, they hide because they're scared. Many of you have been running and hiding because you're scared. You just don't know you're scared. You got too much pride to see it. Got too much pride to see the handwriting on the wall. Like your mom telling you, son, you need to, get out these streets because you're going to get yourself hurt. You're running with the wrong crew. Oh, mom, you don't understand, mom. My friends, mom, you just don't understand, mom. Things change, mom. And the next thing, mom get a call. Mrs. Smith, we have someone here at the coroner's office that has given you as their closest of kin. Can you come down here? Verse 22, cease you from men whose breath is in their nostrils, for within is he to be accounted of, or wherein is he to be accounted of. He said, don't be listening to people doing all this talking, trying to impress you through their words. He said, the only strength they got is the strength that's coming out their mouth. Everything else they have, they say even if they have, they ain't going to share it. They'll boast about it, but they ain't going to use it for you. And most of them won't even use it for the people they love or profess to, if they even know what that word means anymore. But y'all say they're just blowing out air, just talking. All in these, that's why I say this is why I say this channel is not, a channel where people talking about the Bible. This is a prep channel. This channel is where I talk to my brothers and sisters about what Yah is saying and what we must be doing to prepare in these last days. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Go look at the title of this channel. DFG, End of Days Messenger. I've been transparent from the beginning. So don't look over here and expect me to say something contrary to what I've been saying now going on about 12 years. Well, at least a decade. And I'm still saying it, and I'm going to keep on saying it, because Yah told me to name it that, because this is what I will be doing for my brothers and sisters. Warning us to be prepared to prep. Through what? Through being obedient to Yah's word. Through what? Coming together as a people. For what? To tear down these walls of divisiveness and move our people from turning to the stranger for solutions who hate us, and turning within Israel to build relationships so we would understand how to love ourselves. So Yah can love us. What does the word say? He said, my people who are called by my name, he said, if they would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn away from idolatry and any other form of abomination. He said, you know what? I will hear your prayers. And know what else I would do? I will forgive your sins. And you know what else he said he would do? He would answer our prayers. See, the strength we're looking for without really exists within us. That's why I say, I am your Savior, Yasharel. I am your Redeemer, Yasharel. You are mine, Yasharel. I am yours, Yasharel. Before me, there is no Savior, Yasharel. After me, there will be no Savior, Yasharel, for you. I mean, what else does he have to say for us to stop being idolaters? What else does he have to say for us to have our confidence in him, in his word? And please don't tell me about believing in another Savior when he said he's the only one. Or another Redeemer when he says the only one. Come on now. Stop. Stop with the madness. Read it for yourself. And that's not the only place. Isaiah 45, Isaiah 47. Jeremiah 30, Jeremiah 1. I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. I sanctified you. You are mine. David talks about it in Psalms 37. He talks about it in Psalm 23. Yahuwah is my shepherd. I shall not want. Yahuwah. Moses taught the people, thou shalt love Yahuwah with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength. Deuteronomy 6 and 4. He reminded us again in Exodus 20 and 5. I'm your Savior. I'm your Redeemer. I'm the Holy One. I am yours. You're mine. And if you have anyone else, I'm going to be jealous about it. And furthermore, if you say you have another one, you hate me. Brothers, the responsibility come down to us now. This thing's about to get wrapped up. Now, if you're coming home, you need to come on home. And if you're not, then tell us you're not and go away. You know, I was going to go over to 3, but I'll leave that be for another day. Now, come on, let's go one more place, and then we're going to wrap this up because I think there's some relevance here. I think there's some meat here for many of you may be familiar with this already. So if you are, then if you can suffer through me sharing this, I would appreciate it. Thumb up the video thus far if you feel like I haven't wasted your time. I hope I haven't. I didn't waste your time. You just may not have found any value in what I'm saying. Because there's no way we're wasting time for about an hour and 42 minutes talking about Yahuwah and his word and his people whom he loves. That's not a waste of time. Waste of time is watching the Super Bowl for 4 hours. The NBA All-Star game with them, they just are damn, they might well hide the Globetrotters instead of having that mess. 200 versus 100 something, that was the end of the game score. I didn't waste time watching it, but I'm just saying, is that your king? Because if you can suffer through that, surely you can take some time and hear the word of Yah without, getting, bitter, disrespectful. Right? I'm not saying that you would be. I know you're not. At least I know most of you aren't. But you're always gonna have. What did Job chapter 1 say? When the sons of Yah came before Yah, but did not say Satan came also? So Satan is always going to be around. So I know and Satan will take over a female body. He's transgender anyway. He doesn't matter. He's the bad. He's as is above beneath. So he'd go both ways. So he can take over a woman just as quick as he can take over a man. So they got some she-devils out there too. So you ain't hiding. But I'm talking to you, my brothers. I hope you don't consider this a waste of your time. But I want to wrap this up by sharing this particular verse because it's a reminder to us, my brothers and sisters, that there's a way that seems right to a man. So you can think you're right. You can be sincere about what you believe, but you can be wrong. And I'm going to give you an example of this. Now, this is the book of Jasher, chapter 75. And at that time, in the 180 year of Yasharel going down into Egypt, there went forth from Egypt valiant men. These are not cowardly men. Valiant men. 30,000 of them on foot from the children of Yasharel, our brethren, who were all of the tribe of Joseph, the second to the youngest son of Jacob, and the children of Ephraim, one of his sons, the son of Joseph. For they said that the period was completed which Yahuwah had appointed over the children of Israel in the times of old, which he had spoken to Abraham. So they were looking at the calendar. And they were using the heathen calendar to figure, okay, this 400 years is up. Let's go. Just like many of our people now are using calendars to determine seasons and times. Nothing new here. Watch what happens here, brothers and sisters. But it said the period was completed which Yahuwah had appointed to the children of Yasharel in the times of old, which he had spoken to Abraham. And these men girded themselves or put upon themselves, each man his sword at his side, so they got ready to go fight. They had on their battle, their soldiers' attire, their uniforms, their weapons, and every man his armor upon him. And they trusted in their own selves. And they went out together from Egypt with a mighty hand. But they brought no provision for the road, only silver and gold, not even bread for the day for which they bring in their hands, for they thought of getting their provision for pay. See, they thought that money was going to be the answer to their problems. Well, if we got enough money, we could get anything. This is what they were thinking. 30,000 Israelites. Well, y'all taking too long. I'm gonna take this in my own hand. I got to take control of the situation. I ain't waiting no longer. 40 years is up. We were told 100 years was up in 2019, but it wasn't. Remember 1619 to 2019. A lot of our people out there talking, well, the 400 years is up, so it's about to go down right now. It didn't. Well, some things did happen, like, that thing. Well, it'll never be the same again. I'll give that. But they misread time because they were caught up in times instead of listening to Yahuwah. And this is the danger. And I'll say this to a lot of you brothers and sisters out there. You're getting so caught up in the times and calendars and different things like that. And you love to correct everybody about the calendar. Brother, no, it's 180 years. It ain't this, it ain't that. Look, I'm okay with your math. I'm not okay with your theology. But your mythology, your math, I'm sure you're correct in terms of how you added and subtracted. But like Tina said, when she spoke about love, when she said, what love got to do with this? I'm telling you, according to these men, what your math got to do with it. Because they thought they had it right. They said, hey, the time of completion is here. Let's move. Let's continue on here. And verse 3. And these men girded themselves, and they put on each man his sword at his side, and every man his armor up on him. And they trusted in their strength. And they went out together from Egypt with a mighty hand. But they brought no food for the road, only silver and gold, not even bread for the day that they bring in their hands. For they thought of getting their provision for pay from the Philistines, the same Philistines that we were talking about in Isaiah. Yah said that our people turned to depend upon. If not, they would take it by force. So they're saying, if they don't give me the food, they won't take money for the food, then I'm just gonna rob them. I'm just gonna take it by force. Tell me that's not the mindset of a lot of people. They don't do what they need to do, and then when time's in trouble, they say, well, I'll just go take it then. That's all these ruffians among us, these ghetto gangsters. They're going to come and rob and kick in doors and shoplift and I'm going to get it like I can. Okay. For now. But you might want to slow your roll, because guess what? That ain't going to be working in the very foreseeable future. Just telling you. You might want to learn another way. Let's go on here. And these men were mighty and valiant men, and one could pursue 1,000, and two could rout 10,000. We love that proverb. One will put 1,000 away, Psalms 91 and 7. Two will put 10,000. So we love that. We love to take the word and use it out of context when we want to do something that we want to do. We love to bless ourselves and say, Yah bless me. Did he? Have you been obedient? Do you follow his law, statutes, and commandments? Do you love the brethren? Do you give honor to who honor is due? Do you keep your word? Do you respect his anointed? Do you refrain from doing any harm to his prophets? Because that's what 2 Chronicles 16 and 15 says. And then Psalms 105 and 15 says the same thing. Touch not my anointed, do my messengers, my prophets no harm. Are you doing those things? Because otherwise you're just making it up. You're just making it up as you go. You might have glory in it, but Yah finds no glory in it. That's why I say this is going to be man talk. Sisters, y'all need to listen in too. Iron sharpening iron, right? How do we do that? By talking real talk, talking about the truth. Laying it all out. Let's go on here. Look what it says, verse 6. And they directed their course towards the land of Gad. That's where Goliath were from, by the way, those giants. And they went down and found the shepherds of Gad feeding the cattle of the children of Gad. These people tending their own business. And they said to the shepherds, give us some of the sheep for pay. Well, no, we'll buy some of these sheep because we need food. For we are hungry and we have no bread to eat. And the shepherds said unto them, are they our sheep or cattle that we should give them to you even for pay? They're saying, you ain't got enough money to buy this stuff. They're like, no, it ain't for sale. And that's why we shouldn't put our trust in money and gold, brothers and sisters. Thinking that that's how we're going to have access. The heathen's way says, yeah. Yahweh said no. He don't give you access as long as you obey them and be obedient to them. But as soon as you decide you're going to resist their direction, just like Kanye, you're going to go from a 6 billion to half of, to 500, million in about 2 weeks. If he's worth that much today. And all he did is said, I am an Israelite. And y'all not. And boy, did his walls come tumbling down. And that's the same that's going to happen to many of our brothers and some of the sisters who put their faith and trust in materialism. Money and gold. In many formats. And that does not exclude crypto. He goes on to say verse 9. And the shepherds of the Gad shouted over them that their cry was heard at a distance. And so all the children of Gad went out to them. So when our brothers decided they were going to forcefully take what they wanted, these people started crying out and their other relatives heard them from afar. And then they came to see what was going on. And when the children of Gad saw the evil doings of the children of Ephraim, now remember Ephraim, these were mighty men, valiant men, men who were warriors, men who had been waiting on Yah. But they say Yah's taking too long. According to the calendar, this should have happened already. So let's get us 30,000 strong, get the best of the best. Let's get our weapons of war, and let's go over here and we're gonna try to buy it. If they won't sell it, we're gonna take it. And this book said they were doing evil. And when the children of Gad saw the evil doing of the children of Ephraim, they returned and assembled to the men of Gad, and they put each one on his armor. And they came forth to the children of Ephraim to fight. In other words, these heathen ain't letting you take nothing from them without a fight. A real fight. Not the little neighborhood block corner fight. And they engaged them in the valley of Gad, and the battle was severe, and they smote each other a great many on that day. In one day, this whole thing got settled. And on the second day the children of Gad sent to all the cities of the Philistines that they shall come and help. And they said, come up unto us and help us, that we may smite the children of Ephraim, of Israel, who have come forth from Egypt to take our cattle and to fight against us without a cause. And see, that's the drum beats of war going on right now in America. I heard someone, if you were with us on a Bible study a few weeks back, they were talking about when these immigrants was coming in aboard, they were saying they were going to use the blacks, this is quote unquote, to kill the whites, and then they were going to use the immigrants to kill the blacks. And the guy who had this on the chat, this guy got 2.1 million subscribers. And he has an audience that are listening to him 5 days a week of tens and tens of thousands. And the majority of them are heathens listening to them. I'm talking about non-melanated Israelites listening to this rhetoric, but they believe it. Just like Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina, we need a obnoxious, rambunctious president. Now you tell me that's not dog whistling. We need somebody who's rambunctious, who's, you know what I'm saying, who's obstinate. So we can make sure that the crap hits the fan. So give us Donald J. Trump. Man with no leadership credibility to his name in terms of politics. Well, I guess now he does. But he sat there in office for 4 years and lied, and told more lies. I'm pro this, I'm not that. We're going to put Hillary in jail. Oh, no, she's a good one. We ain't going to put her in jail. Y'all forget. I don't. My job is not to forget. My job is to recall. The heathen job is to keep you distracted so you don't recall. TikTok and everything else got you, again, distracted. My job is to redirect you and remind you of what they did and what he said. And he was the one pushing warp speed inoculation upon blacks and Hispanics. Just so you know. So for all of you folk who are mad about, having to be forced into that situation, well, you got your Donald Joseph Trump to blame for that. And Biden was right there along with it. He was not anti it. So let's not get that twisted. But just so we keep things in order and give the proper credit to whom credit is due. All right? Who's responsible? Although they don't hold themselves accountable for anything that they do. Say the wicked do wickedness and hold themselves what? Not accountable. Proverb. Verse 14. And the souls of the children of Israel of Ephraim were tied with hunger and thirst. Famish of food, famish of water. For they had not eating for 3 days. 3 days of darkness. You just heard we talk about. We just read about that a moment ago. And that fourth day, we already know where they're going to end up. Well, we're going to find out what these 30,000 valiant Israelites would happen to them. It says, and 40,000 men went forth from the cities of the Philistines to assist the men of Gath. So now there's 40,000 against 30,000. But see, when they went out there unprepared, they saw themselves as, the best and brightest. But what they didn't understand about them heathens is that they always got a backup plan. Our men went out there without none. God is my backup plan. Yah is my backup plan. You think so, huh? I wonder if these men thought that. Because obviously they were following Yah, because they said the time was up. From our father Abraham, did you not hear me read that? So they were not heathens in regard to the Torah. Hell, they were well studied. They figured, hey, the time is up. Let's go. We don't have to wait on Moses. I know it's prophesied that a Moses would come, or Elijah would come. But let's go. And they went. Let's see what happened to them. Verse 15. And these men were engaged in battle with the children of Ephraim. Talking about the 40,000. And Yahuwah delivered the children of Ephraim, the Israelites, into the hands of the Philistines. You don't say. Yeah, I read that right. Yahuwah dealt them a vicious blow. Not the Philistines, the Israelites. Because the Israelites wanted to do it the way they want to do it and claim what they want to claim regardless of what the book says. Well, I know he's with me. Is he? Where you been at? Who you're building with? Are you part of a learning team or learning group? Do you support the learning team, the learning group, the leadership? Do you do any of that? Where you been? Because we hear you talking. We hear you talking loud. But now we're going to have to question, are you doing something? Now some of you are, I give you credit for that. I'm not going to take that away from you. You know, one of my brothers, Hardy, he comes to mind. I know how he feels about a lot of things, but the brother does support, so I ain't talking about brothers like that. But I am talking holistically. Too many talking and not enough walking. They talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. And then the way they justify their behavior is to want to say, well, Yah knows my heart. And he does. And he talks about your heart. In Jeremiah 17, Jeremiah 18, Isaiah 64. He said the heart is desperately wicked above all things. The question is, do you know your heart? Then again, you do. You know what you're thinking. You know what you're doing. And you think somehow you're going to force your way in. Nothing new under the sun. They try to force their way into the ark. Many of our brothers think they're going to force their way into the kingdom of Yah. Why? Because they say so. Not because it's what the book says. Just like these men did. Let's go a little bit farther. We're almost done. And they smote the children of Ephraim, all who had gone forth from Egypt. None were remaining but 10 men who had run away from the battle. Everybody that was there they started off with 30,000 brothers and sisters. Valiant men. Men who had money, men who had weaponry, men who had everything you thought they would have needed to get what they wanted, and they got their asses handed to them. And Yah was the one who did it. He's the one that let the Philistines win. Not Satan. Yah did it to us. Why? Because we want to follow the ways of the heathen. We want to do the things that we want to do. We don't want to trust in Yah with all our heart. No, we want to trust in ourselves. If you don't say what I want to hear, then I'll start my own little group over here, and then I get to say whatever I want to say and make it up as I go. Well, you can do that. Nobody's going to stop it, obviously. But you remember, there were some words you said once about a time ago, Yah heard you say. And he didn't forget you said it. But you decided you wanted to go to your own way because you didn't like what was being said. You couldn't take the rebuke. Remember that word earlier? We read it, the rebuke. You couldn't take the rebuke. And everybody misunderstood you. You're the only one right in the room. Yet the book say a wise man surrounds himself with what? Wise counsel. That we're not supposed to be making no individual declarations on anything. We're supposed to go to the council. And that doesn't include your family members. But you do what y'all do, okay? But brothers, again, talking to you. That message is that's a holistic, that's male or female message. Verse 17, and the evil was from Yahuwah against them, for they transgressed the word of Yahuwah in going forth from Egypt before the period had arrived which Yahuwah in the days of old had appointed to Yasharel. So they're going to go on their own and then claim Yah is with them. They're going to do what you want to do, but then say Yah is with you. No, he isn't. You can do what you want to do, but don't you think that Yah is with you. Because see, when your bottom fall out, it's going to fall all the way out. See, a lot of them running around there, their chests all poked out. I got this and I got that and look at this and look at that. And guess what they didn't have? Unbeknownst, they didn't have Yah. They had things. They had a reputation. They knew the book. It says here, they understood the times of old. But they weren't hearing Yah. They were hearing themselves. Be careful who you're listening to, even if who you're listening to is you, brothers and sisters. Verse 18. And the Philistines also there fell a great many, about 20,000 men and their brethren, and they carried them and buried them in the cities. But the slain of the children of Ephraim remained forsaken in the valley of Gad for many days and years, and they were not brought to burial. And the valley was filled with their bones. Our men were just left there for the fowls and the birds, and the scavengers, the wolves, the dogs to eat. And that's exactly what's going to happen to many of our people, because they want to do what they want to do and not does what Yah said do. And they try to use the book to cover it up, taking scripture out of context, twisting the word to make it say what they wanted to say, making themselves gods and goddess. Because they're misinterpreting what they're reading. And when you try to correct them, oh, you don't know, you just don't know. Okay, I'm telling you, you don't know. Now you can hear from this man of Yah or not hear from this man of Yah. You can be just like the people were in the days of Noah. When the man of Yah told them what Yah said, they were like, oh, he talking to us too. We ain't got to listen to you. Okay. Well, see, the only one who got out of the situation is the one who Yah had chosen. And if he don't change, he's doing the same thing now. The man that he chose to bring forth the message. The man, M-E-N, that he chose to bring forth the message. And the men of old had escaped from the battle of Egypt, and they told all the children of Yasharel all that had befallen them. And therefore the Ephraim mourned over them for many days, and his brethren came to console him. Talking about the other tribes, but nothing we could do about it. And he came unto his woman, and she bore him another son, and called his name Berial, for she was unfortunate in his house. Lost many sons out there, because they wanted to do it their way and not Yah's way. So that, brothers and sisters, is where I'm going to conclude this message. And it's something, I know it's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't expect, anybody to walk away with some old, big, beautiful revelation from DFG. That's not what I'm here for. As I said in the beginning, it's about us waking up, coming together, thinking this thing through, being planful, understanding that without one another, we're not going to make it. That things are wrapping up. We're running out of time, and we're still over there fighting about petty, who's going to be in charge. We're still over here getting our feelings hurt. We got to get beyond that. We got to learn how to take and suffer the pain if necessary for the team. The heathens are preparing. These signs that you've seen happening, planes about to fall out the sky, wings on planes breaking, ships being attacked, cable underwater being cut, internet being cut. Brothers and sisters, we're one major event from being into 3 days of darkness. One event. I'm talking about one event. Just like when people went to bed on Thursday night, their phone service was working. When they woke up Friday morning, it was not. That fast it can happen. So we don't have time to waste. We got to get ourselves together. We can't afford to let the days go by anymore. We got to redirect, refocus. We got to strategize. We got to come together. That is the very reason why we have the Wednesday night Bible study. That is the very reason why, I do these messages. That's the very reason why we have the Zoom calls for the Israelites. Trying to build trying to build a platform for us to come together. Not to build additional platforms all over the place for us to stay apart. Doing your own thing like these men were doing and ended up getting themselves killed. 30,000 or 200 and what is it? 29,990 of them. I said that right. Slaughtered. And all the money that they had and all the weapons they had didn't help them. Oh yeah, they killed some heathens too, 20,000 of the heathens. But at the end of the day, I'm sure that's not what they had in mind when they came out of Egypt. Because they didn't come out when Yah came out on their own. We wait on Yah. Yah had already prophesied that Moses was coming. And when Moses came, Moses would lead the way, not them. But that's Israel. Nobody can tell us nothing. The haughty mind, I'm talking about the prideful ones. You can go right out there and get yourself slaughtered. Come back with your tail between your legs. It can be avoided, but you're going to have to show some discipline, and you're going to have some honor in you, my brethren. And that's what I'm going to say to you on this Shabbat. That being said, I want to thank, Sister Davis, Brother Blackman, Brother Hughie, and Sister Lee, for the gifts. I would encourage all the rest of you to at least consider. It doesn't matter the amount. What matters is your heart to support and to help. And remember, brothers and sisters, go back to Tobit 4:11. What did Yah say in Tobit 4:11? Because soon we start talking about this, resources we can be spent on everything else. When we say resources to help the work, then all of a sudden everybody, I don't know about all of that. Here they go again begging. Ain't nobody begging you for a damn thing. Yah will bless you for what you give. You're not giving it with nothing in return. The book says when you give it go read Tobit 4:11. It said when you give to the work of Yah, to those who are doing Yah's work, he's going to bless you and he's going to multiply those things. And in your time of need and your time of necessity, you can count on Yah to reciprocate to you what you have been doing to help for his work to get done. You give pennies, he gives back dollars. At the end of the day, you win for giving. Talking about a lottery, that's your lottery ticket right there. Hard to give. Because then you get to see y'all promise come back. He said it, not me. You got little, more. But that's his word. Okay? So that's not get caught up in that. That's that's the bitterness and the hatred that comes into play again. Stop it. Stop it. If you can't give a lot, give a little. That's not hard to do. And a little is a little. But at least you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, I'm doing something. Something better than nothing. So between, y'all know the outlets. You can go to the About page. There's Cash App there. There's Zelly there. There's also, Zelly not there, but Zelly can work. And then the P.O. Box. Okay? But that to be said, my brothers and sisters, I hope you found the message edifying. I hope it opens your eyes. I hope it makes you stop and reflect and think. For all of those vagabonds out there who want to go do your own thing, maybe you need to come back before it's too late. You don't need to leave 30,000 before you wake up and realize, oops, I should have stayed my butt where I was. All right, my brothers and sisters. Till y'all meet again, y'all willing. Who knows what's coming tomorrow? But y'all will. Talk to you soon. Share the message. Again, thumb up the message. Again. Hope you have a heart to give. You know what I'm saying? And hope you at least recognize my effort. Even if you don't agree with it. All right, brothers and sisters. Yahuwah. Shalom on this Shabbat. Bye now.